Shalom, everybody. I just want to take a couple of minutes. I'm not good at presentations and doing fancy stuff and whatnot. And if I waited until I thought I was good enough, or I could edit, or I could do this, or I could do that, I'd never say anything on video. So I want to take a couple of minutes. Hopefully I'll keep it brief for you and bring a few things about, some kind of uncomfortable topics about what's coming, because I know quite a few people are abuzz about the coming signs with the full moon, the blood moon, with the blood moon and the Revelation 12 sign. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit of information to help you get through all that, because a lot of people think the way they've been raised to think, or the way they've been told to think. And how about help us? We've been taught wrong, and it gets into our heads, and it's hard to come out of some of that. So I just want to touch on just those couple of highlights, if I can, and see where that leads us. First off, we are not the bride. Y'all, we are the wedding guests. And right here, I'm going to show you in hopefully just 2 sections the breakdown on that. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage supper of the Lamb is come, and his woman has made herself ready. Keep that part there, his woman, in mind. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen in the righteousness of the Kodashim. And he said unto me, right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. These are the true words of Elohim. Doesn't say anything about being the bride. But if we go to chapter 21, and I, Yohanan, saw the holy city, the renewed Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of the Shamayim, prepared as a bride adorned for her man. You know, it sounds really weird, but Yahshua is the groom, and New Jerusalem is the bride. I know it sounds weird. I'm not smart enough to figure out what Abba was talking about when he did that. I'm not saying I am. I'm trying to get you to understand we are not the bride. We are the wedding guests. You can find out for yourself. You just have to find it and read it. It's all in the scripture. We just have to go into the scripture without all the phony teachings from educated people who learn from educated people who learn theology from a theologist, and on down the line. It's there. We're the wedding guests, not the bride. New Jerusalem is the bride. By the way, I'm mostly going to use anyway, the Sefer download for eSword, because I like to see the restored names when I'm reading. Just kind of it matters to me. His name matters to me. Not saying that I don't use other scriptures for reference, but that's what I'm using in this. So there you go. We're the wedding guests, not the bride. And going to hit you up with another hard truth. On brothers and sisters, mom, dad, Fido, kitty cat, they're not in heaven. Heaven's going to be destroyed. You don't want them to be in heaven. They're sleeping. And we can go through that real quick in John, the book of John, up here. 11. We have a reference. Yahshua said these things, our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I'm going to wake him up out of his sleep. And then in Matthew 27, we have another reference to the sleeping, way down in verse 52. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the Kodashim which slept arose. They weren't in heaven, they slept. There's other stuff in the Apocrypha that goes into all of that. I'm not trying to make a big deal about any one thing. I just want to give you enough to open your eyes to study things a little bit deeper. Those dead came out of their graves after Yahshua's resurrection, and they went into the holy city. When we think in terms of what's coming with the Revelation 12 sign, if you can relate the 5th and 6th seals to the crucifixion, we're fixing to see the bodies of the Kodashim, dry bones, come up, I think, and could be wrong about that. Hasn't happened, just making guesses. But it was a great earthquake. Great earthquake comes with the 6th seal. Just something to think about. So we're not the bride, and Mom, Dad, Fido, and Fluffy are not in heaven. You don't want them there. It's going to get destroyed. There's been sin in the Shamayim as it is, because right now, Gadriel's still allowed to walk back and forth and accuse the brethren. That means he's bringing his filth into the Shamayim. After Armageddon, after all things are made new, there won't be any sin anymore. That means it has to be completely washed away. Let's go back and show you. Revelation 21. I saw a renewed heaven and a renewed earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. Really, you don't want your family to be in heaven. It's going to get wiped out. They'd be gone with it. Let them sleep. Let them rest in peace. Don't go messing with demons and Ouija boards and seances and nonsense. All right, so we've got those couple of little things covered. Now, something near and dear to me, and I don't know why Abba laid it so heavily on my heart all these years. The 1,000 years. The 1,000 years. The river of life proceeds out from the throne of Elohim and of the Lamb. Where is that? Yeah, I know you want to say it's in New Jerusalem. But it's not. Well, no, it's not. Not technically speaking anyway, because we're going to go back to Ezekiel. Most of you probably didn't even realize there was a book beyond 38 in the book of Ezekiel. And he said unto me, Son of Adam, the place of my throne and the place of the soles of my feet, where I dwell in the midst of the children of Yashrael forever, in my holy name, shall the hosts of Yashrael no more defile, neither they nor their kings, nor their whoredom, nor by the carcasses of their kings in the high places. This right here, the place of my throne and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell forever. That's not New Jerusalem. There's a whole other city coming that David is going to reign over. Yeah, David. We're going to talk about that too. Um, Ezekiel 47. We're in Ezekiel. Yeah. I'm glad not many people are going to watch this. This is my first time actually doing something like this without, conversation with my brothers and sisters. Afterward, he brought me again unto the door of the house, and behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. To the front of the house stood toward the east, and the waters came down from under the right side of the house at the south side of the altar. And it shall come to pass that everything that lives, which moves, whithersoever the river shall come, shall live. And there shall be a very great multitude of fish because of the waters that shall come hither, for they shall be healed, and everything shall live where the river comes. Well, what could do that but the river of life that issues up from the Garden of Eden into, not New Jerusalem, because Yehoshua brings his throne down here, but the name of the city shall be Yehoshua Shammah. We take a look at that in the Aramaic, and it's called Moriah Shema. Sometimes on my Facebook, you'll see me refer to Moriah Shema. I usually do, just because I like it better than just saying Yehoshua Shema. But whether you're going with the Mem Resh Yod Aleph, or you're going with Yod He Wav He, it means the same. The name of the city that day shall be. That city is not New Jerusalem. We can take you back to the very beginning in chapter 40 is where all this really takes place. The vision of the new temple. In the visions of Elohim, brought me into the land of Yashrael and set me upon a high mountain, which was by the south. And he goes into describing this massive city. And at some point through these last 8 chapters of the book of Ezekiel, because there's more than 38 chapters in the book of Ezekiel, you find that the land of the sacred city of Yehoshua Shema, Moriah Shema, the sanctuary, the camp of the saints, whatever you want to think of it in terms of for Armageddon purposes, encompasses the entire property of the promised land that was given to Jacob, that the people never fully inhabited. Moshe didn't get to cross in. Joseph did, but they never inhabited all of the land promised to Jacob. The borders of this city will inhabit all of the borders of the land that Jacob was promised. So, something for you to look about, something for you to pray about, something for you to think about. I have been screamed at by individuals who said they were teachers because I don't believe it's going to be New Jerusalem for the 1,000 years. It's impossible. Scripture bears out. It's not New Jerusalem. It is what is, I have since learned, is Moriah Shema. Thankful for my brothers and sisters that I study with, and we come from a variety of backgrounds, and each of us contributes something and help us find things. I'm not going to even talk about some of the things that are going to happen during the 1,000 years. My main point is to show to you that we're not the bride. It's not New Jerusalem. We don't go to heaven when we die. You don't want to go to heaven when you die because heaven's going to die. Isn't that interesting? There's a couple other quick things that I want to point out. We talk about the Revelation 12 sign. Let me just do this. It's the easiest way. And we're going to pull up the exact phrase. The term rod of iron is only mentioned 4 times in Scripture. Let's start by taking a look at it in Psalms 2:9. We're going to read a little bit further back because you can't just take one verse out of context. I will declare the decree Yehoshua has said unto me, you are my son, this day have I begotten you. Ask of me, and I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise. Now, that doesn't sound very peaceful, does it? Dashing the heathens in pieces like a potter's vessel. We all have our pet peeves, things that we hear people say. When I hear people talk about the millennium reign and peace and the 1,000 years of peace, I really just want to scream because that's not scriptural. That's churchianity. That's religion. That's what you're taught. That's what you're told by a bunch of people who do what they're told. It's not in the scriptures. Being ruled with a rod of iron is not peaceful. Let's go to Revelation 2:27. And if this were a red letter edition, you would find that right here is Joshua saying, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my father. Even as I received of my father is what tells you that it's Joshua. So who's he talking about? If in Psalms 2, Yehoshua tells David that he's going to be the rod of iron, breaking the vessels of pottery. And here Joshua is saying, he shall rule them with a rod of iron. Well, okay, guess what? And we know the morning star, he's just going to be given over because he's just a sniveling coward. Revelations 12. And she brought forth a male child. She brought forth a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. Where did we just say a little while ago his throne is? In Moriah Shema. And the woman fled into the wilderness. All right, well, when Moshe was in the wilderness, when Ezekiel was taken up on that mountain and the city appeared in the wilderness, where is she? In a place prepared of Elohim that they should feed her. I'm not getting into the whole 3.5 years or any of that stuff. We're going to avoid all that right now, because that's a different issue. She is us. The male child, I believe, is David. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm dead right. I'm giving you something to think about. All right. I'm giving you something to think about. I'm not saying this is cast in stone and that I know all the answers. Study, pray, ask, seek, and ye shall find. Revelations 19:15. Out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, and with it he could smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. That doesn't sound like the Lamb of Yehoiah ruling with a rod of iron. There are many references that I actually came across just this morning. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this into Facebook, and I'm going to share with you the link to the article that I found this morning while searching. Hey, tell me somebody else has seen this. It's not just me kind of an article or search. And I found a very interesting article where, yeah, this guy sure enough, he did share quite a few more verses. Check them out real quick. Let me pull it up separately. You don't need to search that anymore. I found an article, Will David Be Here? So here, let's go ahead and where does he start? The restoration of David's kingdom in Acts 15. Acts 15, 16 to 17. After this I will return and will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen, and I will build again the ruins thereof and set it up, that the remnant of men might seek after Yehoiah and all the other nations upon whom my name is called, who does these things. Amos 9. I'm just going to go through some of the verses that they gave me. If you want to write them down, or if you want to just wait and look in the comments section for the link, hopefully I can find it and share it in there for you. Amos 9, 9 through 12. And he was 3 days without sight. Oh, that's Acts. That's not Amos. I needed to go back up to Amos. Sorry about that. 9. There we go. Told you I don't know how to do this. And in that day will I raise up the sukkah of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, says Yehoiah. Yep. Behold, the days come that the plowman shall overtake the reaper and the treader of grapes, him that sows seed, and the mountains shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall mint. That's interesting, because the fourth reference to the rod of iron was in Revelations 19, where the rod of iron tread the grapes. So that's an interesting connection right there. Let me jot that down so I don't lose it. Well, I'll lose it because it's on a piece of paper. I have notes everywhere. That's interesting. I'm glad I took the time to do this with you. Hosea 3, 4 and 5. For the children of Yashrael shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. Afterwards shall the children of Yashrael return and seek Yehoiah Elohah, and David their king, and shall fear El Yehoiah and his goodness in the latter days. Well, my. So, spoiler alert, throughout the books of Ezekiel through 43 through, you will learn that sacrifices again begin to occur for the sin of man. That's again another thing I'm not going to get into right now. That kind of, but he makes a point of bringing it up right here. For the children of Yashrael shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without the teraphim. But look right there, David, their king. I'll be darned. Oh, that's pretty plain right there. Jeremiah 30. Oh, Jeremiah. Yeah, go ahead. Get the bullfrog out of your head. And we'll jump down to Jeremiah 38 and 9. For it shall come to pass in that day, says Yehoshua Sabaoth, that I will break his yoke from off his neck and will burst your bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve Yehoshua and David their king, whom I will raise up to them. Gee, imagine that, black and white in the scriptures. And never hear it in church. I never did. I went to church all my life up until a few years ago when I realized I'm dying here. I'm starving here. Look at this. Look at all these references to Malek Dude, David, however you want to say his name. I do kind of like Malek Dude. Thanks, Dr. P, for that. Not that I expect you to be looking. Anyway, Ezra 34. We already went over some of that, but let's see the exact. I'm sorry, did I say Ezekiel, not Ezra. Ezekiel 30. Hey. Ezekiel 34. See, I know people who do all these things and they're so polished and they sound so perfect. And they get every word just right and they have everything prepared. I had a couple of basics lined out that I wanted to make sure I touched on. I'm sure I missed more than I meant to get. Let's see. He said Ezekiel 34, 20 through 24. Therefore, thus says Adonai Yehoshua unto them, behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle, because you have thrust with side and with the shoulder and pushed all the diseased with your horns, so you have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save my flock. That's Ephraim right there, scattered abroad. That's the tribe of Ephraim. Actually, all the rest of the 10 lost tribes, but I digress. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. You know, no wonder I knew in my Rushah all these years that what we were being taught was wrong. Look at all this. Just amazing. And I, Yehoshua, will be their Elohim, and my servant David, a prince among them. I, Yehoshua, have spoken it. Well, now, isn't that something? Isn't that something? He's coming back. He's the one giving birth. Now, if he's coming back to reign in Moriah Shema, and the woman gives birth to the son in the Revelation 12 sign. See, I'm convincing myself that my friends are right about what's coming up, and I don't want to convince myself because we've been heartbroken too many times. Ezekiel 37:24. Everybody's so excited about this coming Revelation 12 sign and the full moon being on the second Pesha, and it's exciting and it sounds really good. And there's a lot of stuff I can't even tell you. But it is exciting. I don't want you to be expecting the wrong stuff, though. Yahshua's not coming back until the seventh trumpet. And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and guard my statutes and do them. Because all these things occur, we are taught correctly during the 1,000 years in Moriah Shema with David as king. Malak Dud. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant. They shall dwell in the land that I gave to Jacob, my servant, not New Jerusalem, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. My. How many years did you go to church and never get told that? How many years have you listened to somebody on TV and not been told this? I'm so thankful that I found this article this morning. Obviously, we know that Joshua was one of King David's descendants. In Zechariah, here's my mouse. (12:10). And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the Rishash, and I'm not going to try and say that. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one who mourns for his Yachid, his child, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem as the mourning of the something in the valley of Megiddo. I want to take a look at that in a different text. The valley of Megiddo is what surrounds Armageddon, Mount Megiddo, or what we call Mount Armageddon. And the land shall mourn, and every family apart, and the family of the house of David apart, and their women apart. I want to check 10 and 11 out in let's try the KJV. The KJVA has the Apocrypha. For whatever reason, even though I've been told that the Sefer in eSword has the Apocrypha, mine hasn't updated. So I'm for Apocrypha, I have to go to the KJVA. All these are free downloads, by the way, except for the AEIB, the Aramaic English Interlinear Bible. You can no longer purchase that. It was on, you did have to buy it, but it is no longer available in the downloads. I don't know why they took it down. I use it a lot. Most of us, anybody who uses the Peshitta in Code Finder to study codes, best off using the Peshitta or the Aramaic, because that's what it's done in. But anyway, that's another subject altogether again. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, obviously Joshua, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem as the mourning of the Hadadrimmon in the valley of Megiddo. All right, let's see. I got to do this in another one because I still don't know what I'm looking at here. Well, let's see. Hadad Rimon, a place in Palestine, which we know is Abba's territory. In the valley, and then Megiddo. Armageddon is in Palestine, or what is currently called Palestine. Another subject altogether. I'm gonna go back here real quick. What is, I know it's in the Rishah, but I'm not familiar with that particular phrase for the Rishah. It probably does not give that in the KJV. Spirit of grace. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Grace and of supplications. Cool. Toda Rabba. Shentaj Anunim. Tashanunim. Something like that. Yeah, you're not going to hear me go. I can't picture Abba and Joshua and the messengers walking around having hock and loogies. It's a ja. But anyway, that's another story from another day. Isaiah, let's get back on track here. I got off track. Isaiah 9 through 6. Let's see what's going on in Isaiah 9, 6, and 7. For unto us is a child born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, El Gibor, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of Yehoshua Sabaoth will perform this. The guy in the article goes on to talk about how David will rule forever, but thy wonderful counselor, everlasting Prince of Peace, I'm seeing Joshua there. Not saying I'm right and he's wrong, not saying he's right and I'm wrong, just looking at information and questioning. It's what you do when you're a Barian. It's what you're supposed to do. Question people who say they know more than you. So please question me and don't think I'm saying I know more than you. I'm leaving stuff out. I'm making mistakes. I'm just right now going through all this. That's because I found this article this morning and thought it was interesting timing, because my wrist is messed up and I couldn't be doing what I wanted to be doing today. 37, 33 through 35. Asher. For I will defend this city to save it for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. Not nearly as big a deal as some of the stuff that we've seen, some of the verses and scriptures that we've seen. Yeah, that's most of what he has in this article. That's most of it. So I hope y'all have questions, lots of them. I hope y'all study. I hope y'all take a look at and pray about it. Please don't just take my word for it. I am 100% sure that it is not Jerusalem, New Jerusalem on earth during the 1,000 years. I am 100% sure that it is Moriah Shema. I am 100% sure that Malak Dud comes back and reigns over Moriah Shema during the 1,000 years. There's no ifs, ands, or buts in my mind about any of these things. Don't know exactly when Moriah Shema comes. Oh, you wanted to take a look at that Revelation 12 sign? Didn't we do that? I'm waiting for another brother to do a video about this. I kind of took my own advice, and if I don't do this, whether I think I'm good enough to do it or not, I got to get it done. And there appeared a great wonder in the Shamayim, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. I know we all thought it happened in 2017. It did. It did. But it is a wicked generation that seeks a sign, and the sign will not be given unto that generation. And the 2017 sign happened in the middle of the day over Jerusalem. The one coming up with the full moon is at night. It will be visible. And it will be over North America. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Tell you what, y'all, postpartum for the coming birth is really going to suck. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. His tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to earth. That's going to be an earthquake. Meteor storm, an earthquake. And she brought forth a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to his throne. And where's his throne? In Moriah Shema, as we saw in Ezekiel chapter 43. I don't want to keep dragging this out. I hit you a couple of highlights, some hard stuff for people who don't really go the hard line, people who want to be the nice Christians. Those can be some hard things to hear. Pray about it. Don't take my word for it. Pray about it. I showed you the scriptures. You don't want your family to be in heaven right now. Best let them sleep. Best let them sleep right where they are. That information is in the Apocrypha. I'm not going there. There's a lot more about all of it in the Apocrypha and in other things. And I could extend out one subject and keep right on going, but I really just want you to have an understanding of what's coming versus what you've been told is coming. Yahshua does not return until the 7th trumpet. Not until the 7th trumpet. And that is not until after a lot of stuff happens, folks. Don't think you're going to get whisked away because you were once saved and always saved. It doesn't work that way. I love y'all. Ask me questions. Ask each other questions. Study. Question me. Argue with me. It's the only way we learn. It's the only way we learn to discern. We've got to be able to discuss the hard things. We've got to stand up and question each other. I am nobody. I am nobody without Yahushua Mashiach. And I'm no better than you. Question me. It's the only way to iron sharpens iron. Questioning me is the only way that you're going to make me better and get me closer and closer to being ready. I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. Don't just take it. Study it. Pray about it. Ask Question all things. I love y'all.